Recording in progress. Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to the SpeechLink podcast. Today, SLPs and parents, overlooked parent-child insights and how to tactfully reveal them. But before we begin, let's cover disclosures. Regarding financial disclosures, Carly receives an honorarium for this podcast and she owns KIDnection. Personally, I too receive an honorarium for this podcast, and I'm a regular seminar presenter for SpeechTherapyPD.com. I have about 30 of them, and I own Speech Dynamics Inc., and neither of us have any non financial relationships to disclose. All right. Happy to see so many of you here for this live SpeechLink podcast, sponsored, of course, by Speech Therapy PD. I'm Char Boshart, your speech language pathologist host. And you all are more than welcome to participate during our time together. Just type your question or your comment into the chat, and either I or Carly will read it and she will respond. Carly Dorfman MS CCC earned her undergraduate degree in biology from the University of Miami and her master's in speech language pathology from Nova Southeastern University. Throughout her career, she's treated both pediatrics and adults and worked in the schools, skilled nursing facilities, and private clinics. She enjoys treating children of all developmental levels and specializes in a child and family centered approach to improve and remediate speech and language skills. She expands her influence by sharing her knowledge with parents. She considers herself a parent, caregiver, educator. She currently leads infant and toddler speech language interactive classes in her Parkland, Florida community and provides resources and support to her parents and caregivers. She recently developed the KIDnection Method, an online course that gives SLPs and related professionals all the tools they need to run their own Caregiver and Me classes in their own home communities. She's going to share all of that and more with us. So welcome to the Speech Link, Carly.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. What a beautiful introduction.
Oh, well, good. Well, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
This topic is a little unique. And I'm like fascinated with what you're doing.
Thank you.
And yes, I totally am. And to start off, here's the first question.
Yes.
In traditional speech language therapy, you have the SLP and you have the child, or maybe several of them.
Yep.
And if you're fortunate, you have the parent or a caregiver. I mean, on a really good day, you have two parents, you know?
That'd be ideal. Yes.
Yeah, that's the ideal that you've probably treated using this model. But somewhere along the line, you expanded your reach with groups of parents, caregivers, and kids. It's
Yeah.
just a really interesting and fascinating model. So,
Thank
why and when did that happen?
Yeah. It was honestly a happy little accident. I never intended to create all of this. It started really out of a need. Excuse me. When I opened my private practice, I grew a wait list pretty quickly. And I also discovered that I am an entrepreneur. And so I was starting to come up with all of these ideas on how I could just do more than one-on-one speech therapy. And so once I had a wait list, I didn't want those potential clients to find another therapist or be waiting for so long to receive
Right,
services.
right.
So I took the families that were in a wait list and I put them together in a group. And I offered this idea that while you're waiting for your therapy, I can support
Ah,
the parents to do some things at home in the meantime. And
good.
it started as kind of just information for parents, and the kids were kind of there, because they were, looking for something to do.
Yeah.
And I started interacting with the kids. And then the parents were watching me do that. And they were like, wow, you are doing so many things that I didn't even know were beneficial or were different than what I'm doing. And that kind of became like its own, I don't know, its own monster in a sense. Um, and the class concept really took off, and many families were asking to join the class instead of therapy. Either they were typically developing kids and the parents just wanted this information, or some of them couldn't afford private one-on-one therapy. So this was a way
Okay.
of getting access without paying, the private practice rate.
Hmm.
Um, some of the families were waiting for a spot for one-on-one therapy. So it was really a nice, inclusive, dynamic group setting. And the most beautiful thing to come out of these classes, not only supporting the parents and getting to work with the kids and watching their growth, but the friendships among the parents that began to form.
Ah, okay.
And I realized, oh my God, this is such a gift to give a new parent a community, because a lot of
Yeah.
these families didn't have that. So that
Right.
became a focus point in the group, and still is to this day, is building that community. And over the years, it happens time and time again, and they remain friends forever.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. My mind is going to like screen time and social media and everybody kind of staying home
Yes.
and and kind of isolated. Maybe you
Yes.
have siblings in the home or a next door neighbor,
Yeah.
but maybe that's as far as it goes, or maybe a cousin,
Right.
if you're
Right.
fortunate.
Yeah.
But to actually have a group of individuals that you get to know over time and that the kids get to know and see other kids. And
Yeah.
I mean, I love that concept.
Yes.
That's
And
really,
it,
that's a amazing concept. If I were a young parent starting out and I
yeah.
had no clue what I was doing, which,
Right.
is
Yeah.
probably like most of us,
Yeah.
I would join. I mean, why not?
Right. And
Yeah.
the concept of like group classes for babies exists, right? That's kind of been a thing. Um, a music class or like a little play group, but no, not when I started doing it, not that I knew of, was an expert in the area of child development in the room to support the parents. It was like a
Right.
fun thing to do with your kid.
Right.
But when you layer that with information and education and learning to support all areas of development, my classes are more speech focused, but in doing that, the kids are moving, we're supporting motor skills, they're interacting with other kids, social emotional skills,
There you go.
exposing them to cognitive concepts and language concepts. So we really do touch on all areas of development, and you see the growth. You can't not see it. And the
Yeah.
parents are so grateful. And the kids come back, and I make it so fun, so they don't realize they're learning, obviously.
Yeah.
But they come back when they're 4, 5, 6 years old and come running up to me and give me big hugs, and it's just
Yeah.
so rewarding,
Oh
so
my
much
gosh.
joy.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you first started this, did you start delving into, I better know more about development? Or, did you like bone up on all
Yeah.
of that? You know?
Yeah, sort of. So,
Sort of, yeah.
majority of my career as a speech therapist was working in pediatrics. So,
Okay.
as far as milestones and communicating that with families and
You knew that.
expectations and things like that, I felt,
Right.
felt pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
The piece that I had to learn was how to make that information um, easy to digest for parents.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of the times, you get like two ends of the spectrum, the parent that's like hyper focused and researching all the time and what are all the things and they have a checklist of all the skills.
Jeez,
And
yeah.
that's also extreme. Like that's not, I don't know, I don't love that because you get hyper fixated on things and you don't get to be as present with your child if you're just so focused on the next thing they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Um, then there's the other end of the spectrum that, these parents are handed a baby at the hospital and they don't come with a manual and they take
No.
their baby home and they don't know the first thing about what is to be expected, how to interact with a baby. They learn how to change the diaper and do the bottle and like all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But like, what do I do with this wake window? What do I do? They're staring at each other, like they're like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the piece that I had to first realize was missing and
Okay.
then figure out how to support them with that information.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't even imagine. I would imagine that you have individuals at each end of the spectrum and a bunch of them in the middle.
Yes,
So yeah. Yeah. So you probably made some assumptions, I would say, when you first started about what parents know and don't know.
right,
I mean, you're a parent yourself, you have two
right.
children.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but you kind of had a head start, regarding the communicative piece.
Sort
Um,
of. With
Sort
your
of.
own kids, I say this to parents all the time with my own kids, and I don't know if other therapists can relate, but I feel like I can know everything and it goes out the window
Oh,
when it's
really?
your own kids. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I don't know, you're so emotional about everything.
Ah,
So
yeah.
that overrides my sensible side,
Yes, yes, yes. I
you
need to
know.
read to my child. Yes.
Yeah,
2 months, I need to read, or in the
right,
womb, I need to
right,
read.
right.
Yeah, yeah. Probably didn't dawn on you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what assumptions did you make? Like initially going in, um, and then as you began to experience and interact with lots of parents, what did you learn progressively? Kind of what changed for your
Yeah.
assumptions?
Yeah.
Or maybe you didn't
So,
assume.
well, no, I definitely did. In the early stages of my career before I was a parent, I remember like being very kind of hard on the parents of the kids that I was working with. Like I had this expectation, if I were to give them like practice homework and they weren't able to get to it. I was like, what's wrong with them? Why can't they work on this with their child? Told them exactly what to do. Why can't they do it? And then when I had my own kids, I realized, oh my goodness, there's so many things to do in a day. And, you know, it's not, you can't make everything happen. So I definitely softened in that regard once I became a parent myself. Um, the other thing that I didn't know was the part where, some parents are searching for information and they want to be prepared. But others, many others, majority, don't do all of that prep. They prep
Yeah.
for what birth may be like. They prep for maybe what breastfeeding or feeding my baby might be like, but they don't prep for the piece of how do I support my child's development? How do I support their language in the early stages before they're talking? What does communication even look like before a baby's talking? Parents don't know that communication begins at birth. Communication, sorry, begins even before the baby is born because they develop hearing in the womb.
Huh.
So many parents don't know that. And maybe if they know it, they don't know how they can help in that growth.
Okay.
So they say, oh, talk to your baby when they're, in the womb, or talk to your baby, when they're little. But it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. So you can't, yeah, sure, you could talk to your baby like you talk to an adult, but that's not meeting them where they're at. So, many parents don't know that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you cover most of that in these classes. And
Yes.
what I really like about all of that is, the parents that are kind of read up,
Yeah.
or they have two or three other kids at
Yeah.
home and,
Yeah.
they've kind of been through this, then
Yeah.
they can share their experience and their knowledge, or at
Yes, they
least
do that.
support what you're saying, give
Absolutely.
credence to what you're saying.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. And I make time in the classes, especially in my baby classes, babies under 1, for the parents to share an experience that they're having during the week, and for other parents to chime in. And I always preface that conversation by, you don't have to share, but if you'd like to, that I promise there's another parent in the room that has gone through or will go through something very similar.
Okay.
Sometimes they feel like they're the only one having this experience, the
Hmm.
only one that's up at 2 a.m., the only one that the baby's spitting up, the only one, and when other parents share that, they had a similar experience with their older kid, or, oh my gosh, me too, they feel a sense of community. They don't feel so alone. And it's just like, a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's take, like, they've hit one,
Yeah.
1 year old,
Yeah.
and, they've got, they're heading maybe toward two. And, what do they know? What do they not know? What do you do in your classes
Sure.
to sort of like, okay, let me ask you, in
Yeah.
your classes, do you um like do you break it down by ages,
Yeah.
like 1 to 2 year olds, or because you mentioned that you have the baby class?
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
so
So
that would indicate kind of what you emphasize in
yeah.
each class.
So I teach a curriculum, and I teach the same curriculum in all of my classes from birth to 3.
Hmm. Okay.
But what I say and how I deliver the information is different for each age group.
Okay. Okay.
So I do a class for newborns. The newborn is a different curriculum. So I do a class for newborn, birth to 3 months. In that class, we do the same songs every week. We do the same structure every week. We read a book every week. We do bubbles every week. We talk about tracking. Um, we talk about, just connecting to your baby and looking at them and noticing all the parts of them. Um, and that is like the same routine every week. And we do a big piece where, like, a big piece of the class is bringing in different experts from the community, lactation consultants, sleep consultants, physical therapists, pelvic floor PTs, um, birth doulas, all kinds of newborn experts, because
Interesting.
I'm the
Okay.
speech expert, but I'm not the expert in all these areas. So my company is called KIDnection for a reason, because it's all about connection, connecting with your baby, connecting with the families, connecting with the community.
Hmm.
So in bringing in the experts, we get to connect the families with real people that can help them, not just searching things on Google.
Hmm.
Um, so that's the newborn class. And
Okay.
then the baby class is 4 to 10 months. And in that class, I mainly focus on receptive language, building their understanding. So maybe one week we're talking about action words, verbs, and the vocabulary. They're not saying these words yet, but they first have to understand them. So we talk a lot about that. And then the next age group is 10 to 18 months.
You know what? Before you move on, can I
Sure.
ask you,
Yes.
your previous group here,
Yeah.
that's when you're mouthing, you're babbling, all
Yeah.
of that, the
Yeah.
oral exploration
Yeah.
comes in and emphasizing that, hey, this is kind of pre-words and that
Pre-linguistic.
it's
Yes.
pre-linguistic and
Yes.
that it's totally necessary for your child to do it.
I
And do
can't
you
tell you
emphasize? Yeah.
that I put toys out and sometimes the babies will come with their own things, but I put manipulative things out that they can touch and play and put in their mouth. And all the parents are like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," And I'm like, "No, no, 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 no.
No, no, no.
They're
They're
doing
localizing their mouth.
exactly,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
they're doing
yeah.
exactly what they're supposed to be doing."
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
parent,
Good. Good for
parents,
you,
here's
Carly.
here's one. Parents think that babies and toddlers should act like adults, you know, that they should stay in their own space, that they should understand personal space, that they shouldn't take things from another child, that they shouldn't put things in their mouth because adults can't do those things socially,
Wow.
right?
Wow. So
But
is that like maybe half of the parents that come in, or is that pretty pervasive? I mean,
that is, I would say, majority.
majority.
Majority of the parents are so concerned about what their child is doing, like in front of other children. "Oh, I'm so
Okay.
sorry they came too close to you." I'm like, "Oh no, they're realizing that like this little person kind of looks like me, you know?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's another baby. A lot of them have never, they come to my class, but they've never seen another baby before. So
Yeah.
they're so wow, like this, and they
Yeah.
get really close. A baby comes in with a
Love that.
bow in their hair, and a boy baby maybe never saw a bow. So they
Yeah.
take the bow out. And
Yeah.
oh, I'm so sorry, And I'm like, no, 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 they're exploring something new.
Yes.
That's
Yes. Hello.
amazing.
Yes. I that is so good. That is so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So
that is enriching.
what happens
Totally.
over time once they keep coming is they get that. My regulars get that, And that's, I think, a big piece of why they start feeling so comfortable with each other because they understand that this is part of normal development
Yeah.
and we want our babies to be doing this. We want them to engage with each other. We want them to learn, what does it mean to take a turn? If I don't let my baby ever get something taken from them, or if I don't let my baby take something from another baby, how do they learn to take turns?
That's a great point.
So
Yeah.
we talk about that a lot
Yes.
when these things
Yes.
come up that parents don't know this is part of learning. This is what we want them
Yeah.
to do. We want them to experience. Um, and it doesn't look so perfect. And you can't like create that. It kind of just, you can create the environment for it, but it kind of just has to happen spontaneously. And
Mm-hmm.
then I use it as an opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for going in that little, what was it? Like 4 to 10 or whatever, 10 months.
Oh,
So
yes,
what's
that
in
was
the
my four
next?
months to 10 months.
Okay. Okay. What's next?
Then is 10 to 18 months.
Ooh, that's
So
a huge span. Okay.
this
Okay.
is
18.
where like
Carly.
like they all
Okay.
kind of
Carly,
start yeah. Oh,
it
can you hear
it
me?
glitched. It glitched. Can you start over
Oh,
with that?
can you hear
Yeah.
me? Okay.
It's still
Yes.
kind of glitching, but yes, we can
Okay.
hear you now. But yeah, start
So,
over with that if you
oh
would.
no.
It's okay. Go ahead. You're good.
Okay, sure. So the 10 to 18 months, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
So my next group is 10 to 18 months.
Perfect. Yes.
And in that range, they all start to turn one. So what's very cute is they all start inviting each other to the birthday parties. So I love that because that's again another opportunity for the friendships and the community.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They all kind of start to learn to walk. They're all kind of doing that wobbly walk thing.
Mm.
Um, and the words start to emerge. So we get a
Yes.
lot of, oh my gosh, that's the first time they said that in the class.
Yes.
A lot of sign, a lot of gesture, um, a lot more parallel play starts to happen.
Yeah.
Um, that is my favorite group because
Yes.
they're like little caterpillars emerging from their cocoon, you know?
Yes. Yes.
They can get around, they can go towards what they want. Um, they start forming little opinions and they start really communicating. So it's really fun to see that
Yes.
start to happen.
Yes. Yes. Well, now, um, do you ever see kids that are more delayed?
Mhm.
You know, if there is a disorder, you probably know about it earlier, that you might start, may begin to see some delayed
Mhm.
speech production
Yeah.
or, you know,
Yeah.
delay in just receptiveness and
Yeah.
what they know and maybe lack of inquisitiveness. I mean,
Mhm.
what do you see when you begin to see
Yeah.
delays?
Mhm.
What do you see? And then how do you point that out to the parents, or do the parents notice it and they come to you and say, "Oh, Johnny over there is starting to,
Mhm.
produce some words and so on." But,
Mhm.
how do you handle that?
Yeah. So this has been a learning for me on,
Yes.
how to approach these situations because they don't teach us that in grad school.
No.
You know?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
So what I take the let them come to me approach.
Okay.
I always want parents to feel welcome. I never want a parent to feel like I am assessing their child or that they are feeling judged or, anything like that's not what this space is for. Um, I do a lot of parent education about milestones and expectations and what you should look for and a lot of that parents don't know. So once they get the information, they sit on it, it kind of brews. They maybe make a comment here and there like, "Oh, my kid's not doing that. Oh, my kid, my kid's not doing that." And then, I just let them say it. Um,
And
and
do you give
then
them specific things that they can do at home?
always, always.
Okay.
So there's a part of the class where we do like more open-ended play. And depending on the topic that we're talking about that day, I'll say these are things you can do at home. For example, we do a class on spatial concepts. Parents don't know what a spatial concept is. We talk about it. And then I give them things that they can do at home, like, oh, maybe when your child um, wakes up from their nap and you're taking them out of their crib, you say out, out, out. Or when you open a door, very slowly open, open, open. And I model that in class and we do those things. I'm sorry, I was talking about spatial concepts. So I say
Yeah.
when you're
It's
getting
okay.
dressed, we take it off, we put it on. Um, when you're cleaning up, say in, in, or when you're picking them up, say up, 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 down, 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 as they're having the experience. And explaining to them that kids learn through experience. They pair the word they hear with what's happening to them. They want that to happen again. They pair it with their gesture up. They approximate a sound that kind of sounds like the word. Like that's how it starts. And then with many, 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 many repetitions, eventually they'll say it.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I
all
talk
of
about that
this,
and I model it in the class.
excellent. And I'm just thinking there's probably parents are like, I never thought of doing that
No,
or
they take their
emphasizing
baby
it.
in and out of that crib 5 times a day. They get them dressed 5 times a day. They take the diaper on and off. How many times a day? And those are my favorite opportunities for supporting language, especially with parents who are home with their child and they're like, oh my God, I don't want to change another diaper. Like, this is so tedious. But when they start seeing it as an opportunity for language development and
Yes.
support, they look at it all completely different because
Good idea. Yeah.
parents will do anything for their kids, you know? And
Yeah. Hopefully.
it gets, well, yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah. Yeah.
But they don't want to change another diaper like again, or a spit up, right? They spit up all over their shirt. I don't want to change it again. Um, but when they turn it around and they start seeing it as like, oh, this is going to help my kid, I'll do it all day. I will take that shirt on and off and say it all day long because it's going to help my kid.
You see, and I love that. And it's
Yeah.
it's like this structured piece of their day,
Hmm.
but they have added something that is going to encourage their child to learn, to communicate, etc. And I
Yeah.
bet that expands to other things like when they're in the kitchen or when they're folding clothes or maybe they're in the stroller going for a walk or at the
Yeah.
grocery store or
Yeah.
whatever, so that
Yeah.
that one little piece can generate lots of yeah, like this snowball of interactions.
Yeah.
Do you see that
Totally.
happening, or am I
I
just wishful
do.
thinking?
No, no, I do because they start looking at things differently. They
Okay.
start looking at these everyday tedious things like I have to go to the grocery store to get milk and I have to take my baby in and out of the car. And what I talk about is like, what a beautiful town. Look at all the colors in the grocery store. Wow. Look at all the things that you can point to and label and talk about. Hold up 2 items. Let your child choose the one they want. They're like, oh, but they can't say Cheerios or Rice Krispies. I'm like, oh my gosh, but look at all the things they can do. Just their eye gaze is enough to communicate a choice
Yeah.
but they don't know that.
Yeah.
They
Well,
don't know. They
yeah.
think that unless they can say, I want Cheerios, they can't make a choice.
Yeah. Isn't
So
that
we gotta
interesting?
go
Yeah.
back and,
Yeah.
and
See,
show them that there's
that's
so
so
much that
important.
happens.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
That's just a critical piece of parenting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I remember, when I was working in the clinic and I have private practice and you have parents, a child comes in at 3 and oh, he's not communicating or she's not communicating.
Right.
Well, they were communicating all over the place.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I start a lot of my conversations around communicative intent. Do they understand this concept of I have to say something or do something with my body to let my adult know what I want or what I don't want? And a lot of parents will be like, no, they don't do any of that. And I'm like, let's see. Let's see what happens. And I see them going like this, and I'm like, that's communication.
It
That's
is.
that is.
Totally.
And
Totally is. Yeah.
they don't view it that way
Yeah.
because it's not, no, thank you. It's,
Yes.
but
Yeah. But that's
showing
okay.
them, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we
They'll
talk a
learn.
lot about foundational communication and how that later on supports big vocabulary development, and how early literacy and exposing your child to books and reading to them and not just letting them flip through the book, that's good, but what about putting the book near your face so they could see you end the story? What about not just reading to your child at bedtime the same book over and over? What about, again, holding up two books, letting them make a choice? What about reading to them during tummy time? And maybe you're in tummy time too, and you're sharing this experience together. So there's so much um,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that I just open up these parents' eyes to, and then it allows them to start viewing their whole day different.
Yes. Yes. Well, are there questions that you remember a parent or several parents asking you? Are they inquisitive about certain things or what?
So
Yeah.
I laugh because this mom has been coming to my classes for probably a year. And, I just released my new summer schedule and I talk about the class. And she messages me and says, "What is an SLP?" And I first was like,
Oops, we
"Are you
missed that
kidding
one.
me?" Like we have interacted many times. I talk about how I'm a speech therapist and how I support language and development for babies all day long. And I have like a business card that says SLP on it.
Yes.
Um, and she didn't know what SLP stood for. So that was like a whoa moment for me that if she's
Yeah.
asking this question and she knows me,
Yeah.
what about all the other parents out there who don't interact with SLPs at all and they need support for their child? And we're all out there in the field calling ourselves SLPs and nobody knows what that means.
There you
So
go.
that was
Yeah.
that
Good
was a good
lesson.
one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good lesson. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was one that came up recently.
Yeah.
Um, they asked me a lot about first words.
Ah.
And,
Okay.
I do a whole class on that topic. Um, a whole class on sounds. And parents don't know. So they like, "Oh, how do I get my kid to say their first word?" That's that's a very common question. How do I get my
Okay.
kid to say their first word? That usually comes up around like the 10, 11, 12 month mark.
Mm-hmm.
And I step back and I'm like, "Well, what is do they make sounds? What do they do?" And it turns out that they got some words. Anything that your child says consistently and independently counts as a word. A phone doesn't have to sound like phone. It could be a "bah." And if they say "bah" every time they see a phone, that's a word.
Yeah.
And animal sounds count as words, and signs count as words. And they're like, "Oh, wow, my kid said a word," but they don't think it because it
Yes.
doesn't sound like, maybe
Yeah.
their first word isn't mama. They all
Yeah.
want their baby's first word. How do I get my baby to say mama?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
another one.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
but a lot of them don't know that words are exclamatory phrases. Uh-oh, yay. Those are words. And
Bye-bye. Yeah.
my bye-bye, my favorite is the animal sounds because, they'll say moo, but they don't say cow. And they're like, "Oh, they don't say cow. I want them to say cow. They don't know what this is." I'm like, "They absolutely do. Look, every time I hold the cow, they say moo." They totally associate that word with this object, and that counts as a word.
Yes.
And they get
Yes.
so excited.
And you are in a way parsing speech,
Mhm,
speech development, and everything that goes into that, the production piece, et cetera, with language.
mhm.
And do you see that parents have no clue about that distinction?
Oh, no, they don't have any idea.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
have no idea. They think like, okay, let's say they do know what an SLP is and a speech therapist, speech language pathologist. They think it's only speech sounds. They
Ah,
think that all we do is do speech sounds. So then they're like, oh, my kid is 2 and they don't say their R sound yet. Can you help them? So then I have to get into a whole conversation about speech milestones and how sounds develop, over time, and they're not supposed to make that sound yet.
mm-hmm.
Um, they don't know. They think that they should be like perfect, articulate adults at 2.
Good luck.
And right, right.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
So,
interesting.
so
That's
I
so
do
interesting.
talk to them about what sounds 2-year-olds should be making.
Mm-hmm.
And is your baby making those sounds? Yes. Oh, they're so excited. They're like, yay, you know.
It's
Um,
normal.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. All right. I love it.
So,
I love it.
yeah.
Now, when you have, now you've got this little group,
Mm-hmm.
10 to 18 months,
Mm-hmm.
and they are standing up and moving around and they're exploring and they're interacting and so on. Like, how far do you allow? And I'm talking like behavior slash interaction.
Yeah.
Like, what are your boundaries and how do you establish that? Or do you
Yeah.
talk with the parents about it?
Yeah.
Because you don't want, I mean, you don't expect them to all sit there, you know, we're here to
No.
learn, Miss
Right.
Carly. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, they're
No.
exploring,
Yeah.
etc.
Yes. I actually don't want them to sit on their parents' lap
Yes,
and do
thank you.
nothing. I
Yes.
always put toys out on the floor. I try to put out toys that there are many of. So
Okay.
if it's like, let's say, like those like rubber animals, like little animal toys, right? But I will put out only ducks. Everyone is going to get a duck and everyone's going to have the same thing because that's where a lot of the uh, taking and hitting and pushing and that kind of stuff happens because the kids want what everyone else has. But if everyone has the same kind of thing, that helps.
Okay.
Um, or if they go to take someone else's, I can give them another one. So that helps. I set very clear rules and boundaries from day one. Even from before they enter their first class, they have to sign a registration. They do like a registration form, a sign up form. The rules and guidelines are in there, not just about behavior, but about like health and illness and my policies around that. Um, and I also ask the parents if there's anything that they want me to know about their child.
Okay.
So I go through the basics, like, does your child have allergies? Is there any, diagnoses, whatever? And then it's just there, just anything else you want to share with me. And that's always really helpful because sometimes they'll be like, oh, tell me my kid has never been to a class before. They've never had structure like this before. They've never been around other children before. That's good information to know
Mm-hmm.
ahead of time so I could just have them in the corner of my eye.
Right. Right.
Um,
Yes. Yes.
and yeah, but things
Okay.
things happen when you get groups of babies and toddlers together. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
just
Exactly.
does. And I do my best to support the kids and the parents in those moments.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good. Now I know that we are incrementally moving on here.
Yeah,
But we do have a question here from Deborah. Do you
sure.
see school age
Yeah.
kids? Blah, blah, blah.
So,
Okay.
Deborah is asking if I see school-aged kids in my practice and how do I embed this sort of parent education and support? So I do see school-age kids in my own practice. I don't do these caregiver and me classes beyond age 3. If there is a school-age child that's looking for something like that, then there are other resources for them. But my classes are geared for babies and toddlers under 3 years old. What I do to support parents of my school age kids is have them in my session. That's the best thing I can do. Um, I love to have parents in my session watching what I'm doing so that they can ask me questions as the session is happening. I see clients in person and virtual. So if I'm even working with a virtual client, I, I, if I can and if they can encourage the parent to be present. Um, and if the parent can't be present, I will send a message to them through my client portal system, just communicating what we did today and asking them if they have any questions. Maintaining that interaction back and forth is, I think, just as important as the time I'm spending with the child.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
You know, I'm
yeah.
thinking too that in the schools, a lot of times you do get a pretty significantly delayed kids or that are disordered and
Mhm.
that are, you may have a kindergartner or a first grader that's really functioning as a 3-year-old. And so,
Yeah.
or younger, and you kind of have to, look at what's going on there. And, I mean, I don't know if Deborah's asking like, how do you share with delayed kids or disordered kids? How do you share the milestones, the developmental milestones?
Yeah. So I always say, again, it goes back to like they don't teach us this in school, and it is an art to communicate to a parent information about their child that is like it makes me tear up thinking about it. That's how sensitive I am to the parents that I work with because and that's a big change that happened once I had my own kids, of course, because it's hard to receive information about your child that they're having difficulty. And I have this experience with my own kid. So every time I sit in a meeting with the people that are supporting her at her school, this happens to me, I start crying. Um, but it's you just have to be very sensitive to the parent that is receiving this information. Um, I do have like handouts and things that I share with my families just so they can have like black and white information. But it is a lot of, like I'll sit with the parent and like literally I will hold their hands and like cry with them and give them the support they need, I just had a parent who um the kid is like having progressing very slowly in therapy and we spent the last 10 minutes of her session the mom was crying and I was just there, and that's what everyone needed in that moment. And that's what I'm there for. It's so much more than just interacting, like teaching the kid to talk, That
Yeah.
is like, I am not in the business of teaching kids to talk. It's not right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what people think we do,
Yeah.
but it's so much more than that.
Okay. Well, and
Mm.
yeah, we also have underneath that it says, love Deborah's question. I
Students.
have a similar question, but for students in secondary school. Woo, we're getting, yeah. Now I
Yeah.
am wondering, Deborah, and I'm sorry, it's in blue and I can't see it.
Danny.
Okay. If are you ladies talking about kids that are more severely impaired and, or what I would think. And I would also think that if you are working with a child that's in later elementary school or in secondary school, that the diagnosis is there and you've kind
Right.
of gone through that, initial shock or recognition that something is going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
Let's see. More as a neuro affirming parent
Ah,
group.
ah,
Ah, interesting. Yes.
yeah.
So, um, I have not. It's something that I have, it lives in my brain, this concept. Um, that is always been a, like a tug of push and pull kind of situation for me because in order, like when you get a group together, right? It's the dynamic of the group is so it's essential to how it operates and runs. Um, and so there's two things I've done here. I love to connect people. So if I have a group of parents that are like on similar wavelengths and they have similar um, outlooks and philosophies and understandings of their child and their child's development, I will connect them with each other and kind of let that happen organically. I have mixed feelings about like putting a group of neurodivergent kids in a room and hoping that they make friends with each other. You know, um, I just I haven't had success with it. It's not my area of expertise. I'm all for it. I think it's amazing and supporting kids with that and supporting the parents with that too. But I like to let that happen more organically than offering it as like a class.
Okay. Okay. All
Yeah.
righty. Well, and
Hope that helps.
they are in school and they are getting interaction at school, I would think. And they have you, the speech language pathologist at school, and probably other specialists. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you two ladies, are you familiar with a parent group for neuro affirming kids? Are you familiar with that, or is that something that you're hoping pops up? I'll let them put in their information. While they're
Yeah.
putting their information in, let's see, we were in the up to 18-month-year
Uh,
old
my
in
group.
that
Yeah.
group. Is there anything else that you want to share about that, or do you want to move? I'm assuming that you go from like 19 months
Yep.
to 3 years old, 3 year
Yes.
olds. Is
Yes.
that okay? All right.
So 19 months to 3 years old. Well, I would say 19 months to like two and a half. Um, is my next group. I don't get a lot of 3 year olds, although it's my classes are open to that age group. Majority of my families by the time the kid is two and a half-ish, three, start doing other things. They put them in other classes, gymnastics and horseback riding and swimming lessons, and a lot of them start going to school, preschool, daycare, at that age. So my kids start to age out of my programs. But in that age group, whew, they're on fire. Like that is a lot of movement. And so I incorporate a lot of movement into what I'm doing in the class. There's really not a lot of sitting. Um, we're moving majority of that class, but they're following the teacher, they're following directions, they're sitting at a table. So I start introducing some like preschool readiness skills. We work on a lot of transitions, a lot of separating from your adult, different things like behavior wise, like socially, that help to support language. They start talking to each other in that class, which is really
Mm-hmm.
sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And they start asking for each other. They learn all the other kids' names. They follow along with all of my hand motions and the songs and stuff. So that class is very fun.
Okay, okay. Well, you
Yeah,
may want to, and I hate to interrupt you there, but we
no,
do
that's
have
okay.
some responses there.
Yes, I
The
see.
last two.
Yes. So, um, Danny said, I tried to couple families together as well. Many parents are craving communities. Yes, that
And
is
then also
so
read the next one
true.
too, because that's,
Deborah,
yeah,
yes, Deborah says, I'm a school-based SLP and have struggled to find ways to educate parents beyond our quarterly meetings and seminars once or twice a year.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So,
That is an issue. It totally is an issue. And you hate to send people to YouTube. I mean, to have something in the community that meets the needs like you are doing, the developmental piece there, but I'm sure that there are other needs and other um, yeah, for parents and interacting with their kids at home and so on.
yes.
But it would be interesting for, if any of you in our group today or anybody that's going to be watching it later, comes up with a way to involve parents that have additional needs
Yeah.
with their older students
Yeah.
in the community. I agree. It is totally needed. And I think this is a really good start, Carly. This is
Thank
a good
you.
start. And
Thank
it
you.
really does indicate that parents are hungry for the information, but also for coordinating with other parents and hearing from other parents and what they are doing, etc.
Oh, I see. I love what you said, Shar. That's really important. And thank you for honoring what I do.
Mhm.
It's a start and there's so much
Mhm.
more work to be done. So,
Yes.
there's so many families out there with all different types of needs. And I am just meeting, one very niche area of it. So I hope that more therapists take on this model and create communities in their own neighborhoods.
Yes. Well, here's another. Says I write
I
IEPs.
love
So
this.
did you see
Danny
that?
says,
Yeah.
I write IEPs to include consultation time to families as well as reducing direct therapy time from 8 30 month
Eight
eight
times
sessions a month for
for
30
30
months to
months.
6 times. Oh, 30 minutes.
Oh, 30 minutes. Okay.
8 30 minutes to 6 30 minutes a month. And that gives you
Ah.
time to connect with the parents. That's a great idea. I love
Ah.
that. I love
Wow.
that. Supporting the
That
parents
really.
is equally as important as the work that we do one-on-one with the kids, sometimes if not
I
more.
agree. I agree.
It
See,
shapes
we've
so
let
much.
that slide.
Yeah,
It's critically important.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Totally. Totally. Oh
Oh,
my
I'm glad
gosh.
many people
Yes.
agreed. Deborah
Yes.
agreed, Danielle agreed. That's great.
Yes. Yes. Now, Um, okay, so you are saying you do have your group sessions, the parents, etc., but you also take kids that need additional support.
Yes.
So delayed or disordered children, so that you see them individually and you
Yes.
have the parent or parents there, caregivers there.
Yes.
Okay,
So
so like a
one
clinical kind of thing.
Right. So one piece of the business is the classes. The other piece is we're a private speech therapy practice. I have
Okay.
a team of therapists that work with me, and I
Oh,
see clients
great.
one-on-one myself. We all follow the same philosophy of parent education and parent support. So it's not just giving them the information, but supporting them as they're doing it. Um, our parents have our phone numbers. Our parents are communicating with us. Our parents are sending us information about their kids in between sessions. That was, and so I don't have a huge caseload. I have a manageable caseload so that I could offer this service as part of what we do because I've worked in lots of different settings where this piece wasn't a part of the equation. And when it was, I saw so much progress. And in developing my business plan, I said this needs to be part of what we do at KidNection.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the other thing that we do and the training courses. So lots of different pieces.
Okay. Now, you mentioned training courses, and am I assuming that that's for SLPs or are these parent courses?
So, the training course that's available now is for SLPs to
Okay.
learn and gain access to the curriculum that I use in my classes and learn how to implement these types of classes in their communities. You get my whole business model and all the materials you need so that you can get it going yourself. Because, like, my dream would be for this to be in every community where there are parents and children. Like,
Yeah.
Why not? Why not?
Yes.
And the best part for us as the therapist is, you know, it is just so fun and brings so much joy back to your day. We get to be a part of the community that we live in, which I love, like going to the grocery store and seeing the parents and the kids, and giving that gift to these parents of friendship and growth and confidence. I mean, it's just such a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Um, and then I don't even know if we've talked about this, but since we've talked a lot about this topic, the next thing that I am working on is a course for parents to support their child's language and development at home, using some of the things we talked
Wonderful.
about, their daily routines, and how to talk to
Yes.
a baby and how to
Thank
support them
you.
during their wake windows. So
Yeah.
using the things that I do in class, you can learn how to do it at home, and I can't wait to get that out there. So that's coming
Yes. I love
hopefully
that.
very soon.
I love that. Totally love that. Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Now, I have one question because it's kind of
Yes,
in the back of my mind.
yes,
You are working with individually your delayed disordered child.
yes.
Did they come from that group environment?
Mhm.
And do they also attend the group environment, or is that just a separate service that you provide
So
for both?
they operate sort of as two separate businesses under the KidNection umbrella, but
Okay.
they intermix and intertwine very often. I
Yeah.
get phone calls of parents just looking for therapy for their kids. My older, elementary and older school age clients. I get a lot of families that have been coming to my class, for a couple months, and then they realize based on all this information I shared, well, maybe something's up with my kid. Then they become one of my private one-on-one clients. And then I have a lot of this is my favorite thing to do when I get like a little one that graduates from being a private client, they get to come to the class so they could practice the skills that they learned in the
Yes.
one-on-one session.
Ideal.
So it's a beautiful relationship in both directions that I could support these families in so many different ways.
Yes, yes. I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh. We could probably go on for another half
I
hour at least. At least. I know.
know.
Thank you, Carly, for this amazing and really helpful information. And thank you to all of you that provided your comments and your great suggestions. In closing, I do want to thank all of you for being here, for tuning in, and for continuing to get the word out about the SpeechLink podcast. And just so that you know, in a few days, you will be able to access this course through SpeechTherapyPD.com and watch it again if you want to. And also, you can access the audio only versions on most popular podcast apps. I greatly appreciate your supportive comments and your good reviews on those apps. Carly, thank you again. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
My
And to all of
pleasure.
you, I hope you know how very appreciated you are. Thank you for all that you do for your therapy